Today we're talking about some recovery exercises with the sled. Now, most times people think of the sled, they think of a performance increasing exercise. That's not always the case. One of the greatest reasons a sled is phenomenal for recovery is it has more concentric loading. If you think of a squat, for example, a squat, you have the eccentric motion where we're stretching out the muscle, loading down, and then you have the concentric motions where the muscle tends to shorten as you're coming back up. With a sled, it's a constant concentric motion. What this is going to do is going to force blood flow into the legs, force a lot of recovery for that damaged tissue. That eccentric portion of an exercise, that's the big stressor. That's where a lot of the damaged tissue comes in place. So what we're working on with the sled today is specifically working on repair. Now, there is some techniques that I like to use with the sled. Everybody's going to be different. There's prowler sleds, push sleds, drag sleds. There's so many different variations of sled work you can do. It's endless amounts of possibilities. So I'm just going to show you some things I like to do, some technique that I like to apply with me and my athletes when we're working on some sled recovery. Now, we're going to do this with light weight. First thing you're going to do, guys, is you don't want a high hand placement. If your hand placement's way too high, you're going to dig that sled into the ground, and then it's actually going to add more tension, and you're adding leverage against yourself, more work than what we're trying to do today to work on the recovery. So bring those hands down a little bit. After the hands are in placement, try to get the shoulders in line with the hands. Sometimes they're going to be slightly above, sometimes slightly below, but you want to be as line with the hands as possible. Nice neutral spine here. Think of breathing and bracing the same way you would on your back squat, your deadlift. All those exercises, breathing and bracing is the same when we're transferring this over to the sled. Once we have our grips, once we begin to push, we're going to use just steady, consistent marches through. We're going to have a consistent motion. We're not going to stop and slam onto the sled just to push it and going. Then we have our sled pulls where we can get it with a harness or straps. Same principle here, guys. Nice, steady motion. So we're going to walk the entire way through. We're not going to be jerking the sled, taking big jumps, trying to get it to pop back and forth. We want that concentric motion, that constant march as we develop through this walk. And maybe we can do drags back. Same thing. Consistent motion. We're not jerking and dragging on the sled. We're going to use one consistent march the entire way through. I'll do anywhere between 5 to 10 sets. The best way I can word it to you guys that have never done this for recovery, if anybody's ever done an airdyne, that when you get off the airdyne, that blood flow that's in the quads, right? That's the same feel you'll get from doing this sled if you're doing it for recovery. We're not doing this for performance increase today, guys. It's a whole different video, a whole nother situation. Right now, we're simply talking about recovery for the legs and to flush those out. Add this to your recovery on any days that you do a lot of legs. I promise you'll feel better the next day. And as always, see you guys in the gym.